they had quite an eventful offseason. Let's begin with who they signed and re-signed in free agency. So they re-signed Malcolm Kuntz, 1-year deal, $12 million. Adam Butler re-signed 3-year deal, $16.5 million. Max Crosby was extended 3 years, $106.5 million, $91 million guaranteed. David, I believe it's Agoa, signed a reserve futures contract. Ovi, I think it's Ogofo, one of those, signed a futures contract. Lecky Foto signed signed as a free agent. Defensive backs Jeremy Chin signed a 2-year contract worth $16 million. Landon Roberts signed a 1-year contract worth $3 million. Darnay Holmes re-signed on a 1-year deal. Lonnie Johnson Jr. signed as a free agent. He ended up getting injured and he'll miss 2025. That's really extremely unfortunate. Eric Stokes signed as a free agent from the Packers. Alex Kapka signed a 2-year deal, $11 million. Gottlieb, I think it's Adezi, signed a futures contract. Dalton Wagner signed a futures contract. William Putnam signed a futures contract. Other notable signings trades were Geno Smith, was traded from the Seahawks for a 2025 third-round pick. I believe it's Ian Thomas, but it might be Ian. We'll call him. Ian Thomas signed as a free agent. Brandon Smith signed a futures contract. Isaiah Spiller signed a futures contract. Raheem Mostert signed a 1-year contract worth $2.1 million. Then they had additional signings. JT Wood signed as a free agent. Seth Williams signed as a free agent. I think it's Antonio, but they spell it weird. Atonio. But Mafi signed as a free agent. Philip Dorsett II signed as a free agent. And also Jamal Adams signed as a free agent. That's not surprising. Pete Carroll coached Adams in Seattle. So it's not a shock in anyone's mind. Now let's go to the draft picks, of which they had a lot of draft picks. So let's get into it really quickly. In the first round, they selected Aston Genty, who, if you saw the preseason game last night, was not his best show. Round 2, they selected wide receiver Jack Beck from TCU. It's a very sad story about Beck's brother on New Year's Eve. You can look it up. What happened in New Orleans was a travesty. In the third round, they selected Darian Porter from Iowa State. They also selected Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant for offensive line depth. Both those picks were both 98 and 99 overall. In round 4, they selected wide receiver Dante Thornton Jr. from Tennessee and defensive tackle Tonka Hemingway from South Carolina. Picks 108 and 135, respectively. In the 6th round, they selected defensive tackle J.J. Page from Ole Miss and quarterback Tommy Metlin from Montana State, as well as Cam Miller from North Dakota State. And in the 7th round, they selected linebacker Cody Lindenberg from Minnesota. So, with all these moves, it's not a shock. This was built in the image of Pete Carroll. I've said this a lot in recent years. I'm happy to say it again. It's not a Pete Carroll-led draft if he doesn't select a running back at some point. That's kind of what he does. So they did it with Genty. They go and made some big moves. You got to be surprised. You can't be surprised by the moves they made. You're surprised by the way it's being molded and how fast it's being molded. They did lose a lot of players, though. The players they did lose was Robert Spillane. He signed with the Patriots. Trayvon Moehrig signed a 3-year deal with the Carolina Panthers that was worth $51 million. Nate Hobbs signed with the Packers on a 4-year deal, $48 million. Probably the greatest name in sports right now. In my opinion, this is the greatest name, not just in sports, but in life. Someone came up with this, and I thought this was great. Divine Diablo signed a 2-year, $14 million deal with Atlanta. The name Divine Diablo is fantastic. I love that name. That's an awesome name. I've said that to people privately and publicly. It's the best name. I've never heard of a name like that. Now, moving to the Raiders' 2024 season, it was disappointing, to say the least. They were 4-13. They were not a good team. They won .235. They won 23.5% of their games. That's bad. That's really bad. They lost the final game. They were 2-6 at home. They were 2-7 on the road. You know, with Pete Carroll, this is a very tough division. Everyone knows that. But you know what Pete Carroll and what he brings and his energy, because he's a very youthful 73-year-old man. I've never seen anyone like this. He's 73, 74 years old, has more energy than I do at 24. That is remarkable. I don't know what he's doing, but I want to know. And I want to know what he does to keep himself looking so good. At 73, 74 years old, you shouldn't look like that. That doesn't make any sense. He jumps around. He's all over the place. It's like, holy cow, where are you going? And it's like, man, I'm going to coach football. It's like, what? What? Be the analyst. Go be the senior assistant to the Seahawks. Why are you coaching? I want to coach. Okay, I guess. Now, looking at their schedule for 2025, it's a interesting schedule to say the least, okay? They're at New England. They are home for the Chargers. At Washington, home for Chicago, at Indianapolis. They are home for Tennessee. They're at Kansas City. Then they have their bye week in week 8, which is okay. That's right where it needs to be. Week 8, week 9, week 10, that's where you want it. Anything shorter than that, it's not great. Then they're home for Jacksonville, at Denver, home for Dallas, home for Cleveland, at the Chargers, home for Denver, at Philadelphia, at Houston, at home for the Giants, and then home for Kansas City to end the year. If you can do it, and I think they can, their schedule, the way it's listed, it's not an easy schedule, but I do believe they can win. I'm going to give them 7 wins because I think they've done a lot. They're not on their way yet. That's still a very tough division, but 7 wins I'll give them because I think they're a lot better. I think they're better structurally. I think their offense will be better, and I think that's going to pay a lot of dividends for this team. The things they need to work on. Okay, this offensive line needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. They got to build it up a little bit. The hope with Geno Smith and the way he plays, it benefit. They need to get this run game going with Genty. They need to build this offensive line up. They got to help some of these wide receivers out and give Geno protection so he can go find these wide receivers. That's what he's got to do. Defensively, I'm not whelmed by them that much. I'm okay with it. I think it's not going to be an easy year. It won't be. But they're going to get to 7 wins. They're going to be 7-10 because they're going to find a way to win these games. That's the thing Pete Carroll does very well. They find a way to win games that you would be surprised they would win. Like, they're going to play Kansas City at Kansas City. Don't be shocked if they play well. They may not win that game, but they might play well. You don't know. That's kind of the way Pete Carroll does things. They play well. They may not win, but they play well. And you got to be like, wow, like, they played really good. They couldn't finish it off. That's what they do. But I got them 7 wins, 10 losses. And in year 2, I think they'll be better. But what do you guys think? Do you think the Raiders win more games than they did last year? Let me know in the comment section. While you're down there, like the video, subscribe. It's absolutely free. Share the video with your friends and family. We're on the road to 500 subs. Let's get there before August 10. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.